So today is a very special episode because we are celebrating Vanesa's 41st birthday.
Yay!
And before we start, I just wanted to say I'm so thankful to have you in my life. And everybody who knows you is very thankful to have them in their lives as well.
Thank you. It's the beginning of the podcast, and I already feel like crying.
You're a queen. So,
welcome to episode 7.
Sex,
relationships,
careers,
and just plain life. From the experience of two Latina actresses.
Welcome to the Unfiltered. Hi, I am Vanesa Tomasino.
I'm Maria Bruzon.
And today we have a special guest for my birthday. We have the lovely Monica Aguilez, a beautiful and talented actress. Hi, Monica.
Hi, very excited to be here.
We're excited to have you as well.
So we're celebrating my birthday. I don't think I've ever really thought about what I've learned throughout the year. But this year has been a very special year for me. And sometimes I do think it's worth taking the time to look back and think, what changed? What did I learn from life this year round? I don't know if you guys do it or if I'm already super old and this is what I do now.
I mean,
but
I don't know if this is like similar to what you're talking about, but every year during New Year's, I look back and I write 10 things that I'm thankful for.
Yes.
In any aspect in my life, like anything that made me grow, lessons learned, good, bad, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to share some things that you've learned this past year.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you. I think that's why I love New Year's and that's why I love my birthday. I love the fact that I can start new. Every year is a chance to become a better person and learn from the things that have happened. I mean, not everything that happens to us is fantastic. There are some very tough lessons, but it does help a lot to become the person that we eventually want to be. So yeah, for me, you're right. New Year's and birthdays are the best time. It's like cleansing. It's like starting fresh and new. I love it. I'm very excited for year 41. How are you, Monica? Do you do your list too? She's like, I don't care. I do everything back. I don't need to know what I did this year.
I think I don't do like that appreciated moment of thinking like 10 things I love. Like I think I will try for next year if I get to remember that I want to do that. I might set an alarm on Google or something.
She would do
totally. Google reminder.
Yeah,
Google
reminder to be thankful. But I do, for the last couple of years, started like to go back and think, yes, I did like a few things. And like from my last birthday till today, it's like, yeah, I've grown. And I just like try to celebrate. And I think I incorporated that this year. And I said, like, I'm just going to allow everyone to also celebrate me. Like, for the first time, like, I think this is the first time that I've done it, like, conscious. And also, like, in that same note, for the last few years, I've started to say to people, like, happy, like this round to the sun that I know it's so like, kind of cliche, but I think it's, like, that motive of New Year's, because New Year's is like that round to the sun of Earth, and then you get your own round to the sun.
Yeah.
So I think
we both go, like each person goes around the sun.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
1
So
year.
it's like happy round to the sun to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ellen.
Yeah.
I think it's important to point out that it does sound cliche, but living is not easy at all. I think between all the noise around us, it's like it's actually a really important achievement. It's important to give it its
glory.
It's like, and I mean, it's okay for you to just like live life. Like I think everyone like sees birthdays and New Year's like as their own in their own like perspective. But
you're right. And I've always celebrated people. Like for me, I celebrate birthdays because it's a chance to validate somebody's life and say, I value who you are. I appreciate you being in my life. So for me, birthdays are a big deal.
Mm.
And I also celebrate mine because you're right. Life is really hard, and it's a miracle that we're alive. And even though our lives are technically very insignificant compared to the rest of the universe, I still think that we have a social responsibility or a legacy to leave behind. And every year is an opportunity to do that. And I feel like I feel like every year gives me a chance to be somebody that contributes to the community even further.
Mm.
I've been telling this to people because it's the truth. If I were to die tomorrow, I'm very happy with what I have done so far. And I know I'm not dying just yet, honey. No, I know. But if I were, because we never know, right? I feel like I have lived the life that I wanted to live, and that I have made a difference. I think
That's
I have made
great.
a
That's
difference.
great. That reminds me of a lyric from a song from a
Mhm.
band that I really love, Coldplay. Um, and it says, "Are you a part of the cure, or are you a part of the disease?" And I
Mhm.
love it. It hits
Mhm.
so deep because it
Yeah.
like puts in perspective. Like, are you gonna do something good in the world? Are you like, what's
Yeah.
your legacy? What are you
Yeah.
gonna leave behind when you die? Like, what are you gonna be remembered for?
Yeah.
And I think Vanessa is a great example of what she's leaving behind and what she's doing. And I just want to take a moment and like recognize everything that you've done and you're doing and you keep doing, and how you've impacted so many people's lives, and how thankful I personally am for having you in my life, and everything you do, and everything you've done, and everything you're gonna do, and how you're gonna keep impacting everyone's lives, especially mine in this case. Like, I'm speaking for myself. It's crazy. Like, life works in such a funny way. Like, I never thought that I was gonna find a best friend, a mentor, a coach, a mom, honestly, coming
Yes.
back from living in the United States and like coming and trying to get into acting. Like, I would have never thought that acting would bring me such a great person in my life. So, gonna cry.
No, and I am a big crier, and the thing is, I take to heart everything you say. I Words mean a lot to me, and whenever you guys say things like this, it takes me a little bit of time to process, because it's so much love, and I am still in that process of accepting love and receiving love, and I take the love in, but it's so overwhelming that sometimes it's so hard to stay strong, or to receive it. I think when I lived in Canada, there were times where I didn't celebrate my birthday. People didn't celebrate my birthday, and you were alone, and a lot of times our lives don't get validated in countries like Canada or the United States, because everyone's in the rat race. Everyone's trying to survive, which is totally fair too, right?
Yeah.
And so I became almost very happy with isolation, and not having people hug me or tell me nice things. And when I came back to El Salvador, and then I created these bonds, these very strong bonds of friendships and love, and I find myself being very awkward in being able to receive it. And I love receiving it, and I take it to heart, but it's so hard for me
It
to
is.
even comprehend. And the funny thing is, I have the love for people too. Like, I love you guys unconditionally, but for some reason it's hard to process that you may have the same kind of unconditional love for me.
Oh,
It's
we too.
but you know what I mean? It's so it's mind-blowing, and I thank you for your words. They do really mean a lot. And believe it or not, when I go through the toughest times in my life, because I do go through a lot of things. I mean, I have my insecurities, my fears, and all that stuff, my terrible moments. It's in that time when I bring these words back, and I say, there's someone who loves me. In this case, there's someone who loves me. I do have friendships that validate my life when at times I don't feel that I'm not I don't know, maybe where I want to be, or that I'm not bringing too much to the table. You know, everyone has those moments
Yeah.
of where
And
you're
it's okay. And it's
where you're
okay.
shook. Yeah, for sure. So I appreciate your words. Thank
Of
you so
course.
much. Let me just say that we haven't really explained to our audience and our viewers and our listeners where we are, because I don't know if they can hear. Can you
Can you
hear?
hear?
Let's be quiet for a second. I can hear you smiling. I can hear you smiling. We're at the beach. Can you hear the waves?
So this is Vanessa. No, just kidding. The Unfiltered, Vanessa's 41st birthday edition, beach edition, because we're on
Beach
the
edition.
go.
Yes. Yes, it's we've never taken the Unfiltered outside the studio. This is the very first time. And we found this lovely set that you can't see because it's at night. Sorry about that. But we found that it was very calming and nice to hear the waves in the background. And if you can hear it, then I hope you enjoy it. And if you can't, we apologize. We'll do better next year.
And honestly, what a better way to celebrate your birthday than, being in a beautiful place in your um, country where you were born
Yeah.
and doing something that you love,
Yes.
with people that
With
you
the people
love,
that I love.
hopefully.
I do. Hopefully. What do you
Just
mean,
kidding.
hopefully?
But like, I think it's a very special way to celebrate your birthday.
Yes, it is. It is.
Earlier, her kids were here. She's a mom.
I'm a
as
mom
well.
of two.
Don't be deceived by her look. She's not 25. She's 41.
Today.
But yeah.
What? I've been fooled.
So you were 29.
Yeah. We were celebrating. We're just like,
Yeah.
having a good time here at the beach.
Yes. The things that I have learned this year, this has been, I mean, I've really enjoyed many years of my life. I think 30s were amazing. The 30s. That you're
People keep
near-
saying that, and
Yes.
I'm like, I'm nervous.
Yeah,
because
like nervous.
I just can't believe. I
No.
don't. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes.
I'll believe it when I get there because I
Yes.
can't believe that 30s are better than 20s.
Oh my God, yes. The 20s.
Everyone says that.
Yes,
I'm
it's-
skeptical. I'm sorry, I'm a skeptic.
It's true. The 30s are this amazing moment where, at least as a woman, you start feeling yourself. Suddenly you're like, I don't have to put up with bullshit. It's like, okay. You start loving your body a little bit more, regardless of the shape. You're just more, okay. For me, it was like I had in my 20s this fog, like I couldn't see
Mhm.
clearly. And I made really tough decisions. I mean, horrible, bad, poor decisions. And then when I turned 30, it's almost like my personality appeared and my real authentic self appeared.
Mhm.
And I knew what I wanted. I knew where I wanted to be. It was like the fog was gone. I can't explain it. All I can say, it's like, imagine you're underwater, and when you hit 30, you come outside, above water. It's
Okay.
amazing. I think it's going to be amazing for you guys, especially because the generations have changed.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, they have. Like right now for you guys being in your 20s, it's like being teens, being
Yeah.
very young. When you hit your 30s right now, 30s is a really good age. You're going to do 3 times more of what you're doing right now.
I mean, it makes sense
Mhm.
because I'm a skeptic, but it makes sense because now looking back at like what we're systematically expected to do, like when you're 18, you're supposed to know what you want to do for the rest of your life.
No.
Like I think I go back and I think about it, and I'm like, that is so fucked up.
Mhm.
When I was 18, I had
would
no
you know?
idea. I was a fucking baby.
Yeah, you would never know.
I still feel like a baby,
Yeah.
and it makes sense that 30s would be like, more clarity, I
Yeah.
guess. But I'm still a skeptic.
Well,
I don't know
here's-
about you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When you reach 30, you have the knowledge, you have the drive, and you have the power. Because at this point you have your independence, you work, so you have the money to invest in yourself. This is a great time to do, for example, a master's or start your own business or whatever, because you have all that learning from the 20s. You made all the mistakes already. So I found my 30s to be extremely powerful. It's when I got in the best shape of my life. At 32, I was a monster. I was a machine. It was like amazing, and I couldn't believe it because everyone was so afraid of the 30s. And when I was 32 is when I felt the best, with my physique. I did a master's, I did a PhD, all in my 30s, and I traveled the world, and I don't know, there's something really empowering about being 30. So for me, that decade was amazing. Now the 40s, okay?
Damn.
Something that happens with the 40s is that you've already, in my case, for example, I got married, I had 2 children. So there are different lessons that I would have never learned in my 20s. Unless I had children in my 20s, I would have been very different because you're still kind of navigating who you are in your 20s. I was terrible in my 20s. Oh my God, you would have never been friends with me in my 20s. I was a party monster and it was bad. And it's funny because a lot of people come up to me now who they met me in my 20s and they haven't seen me and they see me now and they think I'm still that person.
Yeah.
And when they see everything that I've done and how much I've changed, they can't believe it. And sometimes we don't mesh anymore because they like me because I was kind of like that crazy person. Now I'm not. I was super insecure too in my 20s. I mean, I'm still are, but insecurities never go away. But in my 20s, I was so reactionary that I was causing so much harm to everybody around me, and I didn't even notice. So, but the 30s were really great. Now the 40s, because I have the lessons of the 30s. I have a family, I have children who have taught me so many lessons as well.
God, yeah.
I'm not saying you have to have kids to learn. I have so many friends who don't have kids and have learned so many lessons too. Like, it's not about the kids. It's just saying for me, the kids have taught me a lot because I was a very selfish person and I was a very controlling person. And when you have kids, the control goes out the window because one day they get sick, they fall. Did you have something to say about that?
I mean, there's just like a lot of things in my mind about like I feel that hearing you makes me like more pressure of I need to fuck up now. Like,
do it. Screw
like,
it. Screw
it's
up.
like-
But that's a great
Do
way
it.
to see it.
Yeah.
Because like
fail constantly.
like now is the time. You still have 3 more years to like
I know it's so
fuck
little,
up all.
like, I wish. Well, okay, that I'm like getting afraid of the 30, and the thing is that there's like a lot of, I don't know, like if you've heard or read through those like articles that you have about 30 things you need to know or do before you're 30. Or like stuff like that, like this bucket list,
Like the
that you need
BuzzFeed
to-
articles.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
that type of shit. Yes, yeah, like whatever of that. But also like people that they start like telling you, oh, before you're 30, you need to do this and that and that and that. And I'm like thinking, maybe I'm like already behind, and I'm like not
I
really
mean, I
positive
understand,
about the 30s.
but also I feel like everyone has their own
Pace,
yeah,
Yes.
pace, journey, whatever. And honestly, for example, I think generations change as well
Yeah.
because my mom always compares me to her and my aunts, and she's always like, when we were 25, we already had, like an apartment and this and that and that. I'm like, and I have this sort of pressure to like be a homeowner.
Oh God, honey, the
at
economy
my
has
age.
changed. Yeah.
And then I look at my generation in general, and
Yeah.
nobody my age who's not married lives alone.
Yeah.
That's true.
For those of you that are not from El Salvador, it's getting expensive as fuck to live here.
Yeah,
So
it's very expensive.
I don't think I can pay like a full rent by myself right now. Like,
No, I
absolutely
can't.
not.
Like, I couldn't right now.
And keep the same, lifestyle that I have right now and pay a whole month's rent. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I understand like those articles and those things and like bucket lists and whatever, but I also think like there's so many like factors that come into play,
Yeah.
like generation differences and how everything changes throughout the years. Also, like your own path, for example, like we are actresses, so our path is a little different
Yeah,
than
that's true.
Someone who's in a Fortune 500
Finance, yeah.
company
Or
Yeah.
an accountant.
or accountant.
A
or an accountant.
I'm not.
It's always the example. The thing
I'm
is that
not.
it's always
I
the
know.
example.
I'm not dissing accountants. I think they're amazing. I'm just saying the
I
stability.
wish I had the drive.
It's just the stability.
I
wish. No stability here at all financially. It's an adventure every day. Yeah, you're right. The expectations of perhaps a bucket list that was made in the 90s, it wouldn't
Doesn't
really,
apply now.
Doesn't apply. No,
Absolutely
no.
not.
I do think though that there are some standards of things that you definitely could do, like you said, fucking up. It's a great thing. I mean,
I love that. I love that. I honestly, I'm gonna write it in like
fuck up.
bold letters and put it up in my room. Like, you need to fuck up more.
Yes, you do.
That's the only way you can actually learn, though.
Exactly.
Yes,
Because if
yeah.
you don't fuck up, then you don't learn. And so those lessons, you want to take them right now when you're young, rather than when you have dependents like myself, and then like you don't want to screw up their lives. So yeah, I mean, there are some things that you can do for sure. But you don't have to do everything in the bucket list, because then you'll
Yeah.
feel pressured.
I'm so tense.
I know, it's like I don't know what I'm doing. And then this year, I just want to quickly add what was great for this year, because I mean, I turned 40 last year, and there was the big 4-0 during the pandemic, so I couldn't really have. I mean, I had a party, but very limited. You were there, remember, at the
Mhm.
small party. Uh, but something happened this year for me that was very life changing, and that was the acknowledgement of the issues I had in my mental well-being. I'm not saying that I'm like a lot of you, when we talk about mental health issues, a lot of you think, or a lot of people may think, being crazy or depressive or whatever. No, we're talking about, there are some issues that most of us have, especially traumas that we have that have appeared throughout our lives, and they don't also, this is something really important, that traumas don't come from violence necessarily.
No.
And this is something very important to mention, because a lot of people will say, well, I had an amazing childhood, my parents didn't hit me, I had enough money to eat, and I had a home, and I don't have traumas. But the trauma doesn't really come from being beaten by your parents,
No.
or being sexually harassed as a child. Traumas can come from something as simple as not being validated when you ask to, for someone to listen to you, or to acknowledge your life. As a child, that, or a teenager, or a young person, that can have severe consequences on your mental well-being, and then you can have anxious attachments and things like that, that can have repercussions on your partners, and the people that you choose to spend your life with. So in my case, I always knew I was broken, in the sense that I lived through the war. My house was shot at. For those of you who don't know, in El Salvador, there was a civil war, and I was born throughout the civil war, and I lived through most of the civil war. So, and my house was taken by the military, and they used it as a base where they shot people from the third floor of my home. And we had to flee. We were in the middle of shootouts and things like that. So those things can be traumatic for sure. But then there were other things, like we talked about validation and things like that, right? So I knew I had these scars in my past for sure, and I knew they affected my life. We talked about the sexual harassment as well,
Yes.
and sexual violence of my past. We haven't really talked about too much about it. I will talk about it when I'm ready, but we have sort of talked about it.
Mhm.
And so, but it was this year when I finally decided to talk to an expert. And this person was able to break down what was happening to me and give me the tools to make the quality of my life better. And that was a game changer. And so the benefits that this life changing experience had included my relationships with those who are closer to me. And also, the most important thing, the relationship with myself.
Yes.
Because before, I used to be so incredibly harsh with myself. 40 years of blaming myself for things like, why aren't you smart enough? Why did you choose this? Why didn't you see this problem coming? I always said, what's wrong with you? When in reality, there was nothing wrong with me. I was talking to, say, my inner child who was making the decisions as a child. And so I came in as the adult and said, from now on, I'm taking charge, you know. And so it has changed not only my relationships with people outside, it has changed my relationship with my kids. Now I can actually be their mom. Before I was like their friend, you know, I was another child. And so I would have zero patience because I wanted to play too. And they were like, you know, you're annoying, let me be. Now I am their mother, and I take care of them as a mom. And that relationship with myself, where I'm no longer being harsh on myself, but I'm also not demanding of myself to be perfect. So I've accepted my body, something that it took me 41 years to accept this body. And a lot of people may say, but what's wrong with your body? And that's the point. There's nothing wrong with my body. But for the longest time, I thought there was. I hated my tummy. I hated my butt. I hated everything about my body. Why couldn't I be skinny? Why couldn't I be, you know, no boobs? I don't like my boobs. I didn't like my boobs because I would say they're too vulgar. You know, there are some outfits that I can't wear. You know, or people would be like, "Why are you showing your boobs?" I'm not showing them. They're just there. I can't get rid of them. You know, things like that, right? And now that I'm turning 41, I said, "This is it, you guys. This is the body that I have. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going to take care of it for sure. I'm not saying I'm going to gain 400 pounds. You know, as you all know, I'm in this journey to get my cholesterol under control, you know, and my glucose. But I'm not saying I'm going to go crazy and not take care of it. But what I'm saying is I have accepted that this is the correct body for me. And now I'm okay showing it. You know, where that's where my new pictures come for my birthday.
Ooh, we can't wait. Stay tuned.
I want to give a shout out to this amazing photographer. I have so many amazing photographers. You know, the first one that comes to mind for me, my headshot photographer, Farah Viva.
I love her work. I've seen
Me
it
too.
through you, obviously. I hope one day she can take my headshots.
She will. Farah, if you're watching, come to El Salvador.
Yes, please do. We promise we'll be good.
She's such an amazing photographer.
I love her work.
And she's a good person. Like, we've
And
been
you know,
friends
I
forever.
don't know her,
but
there's like this beautiful vibe that I get from her, like Instagram, like stories and her pictures, and like just her face and her eyes and everything. I just want to be her friend.
I love her. She knows I love her. I've known her for a very long time now. Another artist like ourselves, another actress. And she's an amazing photographer because she really brings out the best in you.
I love that.
Because she loves you. Like, she loves you in the session. And so you feel so comfortable. And you're like, so shout out to Farah for being an amazing headshot photographer and portraits and everything. And then I had the opportunity to work with Tina.
Yes.
From Tina Shoots Boudoir. And Tina, Boudoir. Boudoir is boudoir is another word for like bedroom. So I had this session because I have, like I said, I've always been afraid of showing my body. And when I started therapy, I realized that I had to love every single part of myself, and not as the kid who was afraid to be rejected and not loved, but as the adult who is a mature woman who loves unconditionally. So why can I love myself unconditionally? Yeah. So I contacted Tina because she was doing this campaign. Look her up on Instagram, so maybe we can show her account and people can follow her because she's really amazing. So she's doing this campaign of celebration of women 40 plus.
Oh.
And I happened to see the campaign right at the same time as I was coming to terms with my body. And so I contacted her. Nice job. Thank you. It's the handle, so that in case I said it wrong.
So it's Tina Shoots Boudoir.
Yeah, Tina Shoots Boudoir. And so I needed the sound effect. So thank you, Monica. We brought Monica for episode 7 specifically for the sound effect.
Yes.
So I contacted Tina and I said, I would like to be part of your campaign of celebration of women over 40. And I got accepted into the campaign. I flew to Vancouver. I was working on this episode on Netflix. And so at the same time, I booked my session with her. And I was before my session, I remember thinking, am I going to be okay being half naked or having lingerie on? Because I don't even use lingerie on my real life, because I wasn't comfortable with it. Am I going to be comfortable in a studio with a stranger, and for a photo shoot? I knew it. I didn't want it to be vulgar because I don't consider myself a vulgar person. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, that's not my brand. It's not how I want people to remember me. So I was a little nervous about all that. How would it come across?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when I met Tina, oh my God, this woman who's, aside from being stunning because she's beautiful, she was so warm. That's the best word I can say. Warm. She welcomed me to the space. She made me feel like I was a goddess.
And honestly, that's such an important thing because you're in such a vulnerable
Yes.
position.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this before, like I admire you for that. Just like the fact that you were doing that shoot, even if you weren't gonna publish any photos.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it. Maybe in my 40s.
Yeah, well,
Not today.
40s.
Not today.
Yes. I tell you, I wouldn't have done it either in my 20s or in my 30s. But there was
hugging myself like now I couldn't do anything.
But there was something in me that said, this is it. This is how I want people to know my truth.
And I think it's great that you're allowing yourself to take the space that you should allow yourself to take and that you already take. Like, because in the eyes, like, I can talk for myself, but I can pretty sure talk for the rest of us that admire you so much. But that it's that I am so happy to see you glow.
Yes.
And I see the change that you're having. And it's like, I am like so honored to just like be sitting
to
here
experience
today
that, yes,
with you two here, but like just to be part of your birthday and to be part of your celebration and for you to, oh, I'm gonna cry. No, I need to breathe. We're not crying right now.
No, we're not crying. We don't cry in this show.
Okay, so as I was saying, I love you. That's I cannot do more.
No, yes, but like it's such an honor to be able to experience and to like witness this transition and this like abysmal change and this leap that you've done like in not only personally but like in every other aspect. Like it's crazy. Like I met you almost 4 years ago and it's like seeing you grow this much, and it leaves everyone as like as a lesson to see that you're not too old to grow, to keep growing. And honestly, on that note, like I would be worried if you don't like if I wouldn't grow in 1 year, like that's the point, to like keep growing and changing, because that's the only constant in life.
That is the constant in
To
life.
keep
change,
growing and changing.
Yes. I think the changes are so visible and I can feel them, like I can touch them exactly, like they're palpable, and that's why I wanted to do this shoot, because I knew that was almost like the last frontier. I mean, the two last frontiers for me were that photo shoot and that Netflix episode, because it was the first time that I was doing the scenes were so hard, you guys. They were so hard. Like as an actor, a technical actor, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. And then, I try to be, I've been doing this for a while, and yet that fear was present. I don't know if I can pull this role and this character and these scenes off. And so for me, those were the two challenges. And I wanted to see how therapy had changed me as an actor. Not just in the work, but also my relationships on set. With crew and with my fellow actors. So I was very that Vancouver trip when did I go? August, yes, of this year. It was
Late
life
August.
changes, and I those were my two frontiers: the photo shoot and this. I'm going to set with this new energy. And so when I went to the photo shoot, I used the clothes that I thought would best represent me. So they weren't the nicest clothes, but they were the clothes that...
But it was Vanesa.
It was Vanesa, exactly. The new Vanesa, the brave, self-aware Vanesa. And Tina just made it so comfortable. And she told me how to pose and everything. And right after your session, she shows you the pictures right
Oh,
immediately for you to choose.
that's amazing.
It is amazing because then you get to see the work that you just did and to choose the pictures that you want. I know some women choose them all. And I told, because Tina was so lovely, she said, you can take them all. And I said, I don't think that's the goal here. I want to choose the 10 pictures that represent who I am right now. Because I know they're going to be great. I could take them all for sure. But it's not about that. It's about making the conscious decision of I'm only going to choose the ones that represent Vanesa at age 41 with the new changes. And so I did. And the pictures are stunning.
They're breathtaking.
And
I'm
I
so excited to see
cried. I cried so much because they really represented the new me. Like, I remember seeing this really cute picture of me, and I was sitting on this chair, and I'm all pretty and pink and smiling at the camera. And I remember Tina saying, "That's a beautiful picture of you." And I said, "No, it's not the picture that represents me, because I could see the girl. I could see the child. The child that has always appeared in my armor to defend me from people, and the one who's made decisions, incorrect ones, by the way. And yes, she seems lovely, but that's not where I am." And then there was another picture of me in the very similar position, but it had a softer look. And that was my inner child moving back, no longer making the decisions. And I said to her, that's the one. The other one was the little girl trying to control, which she has always done. And so she's on your face, she's looking at camera, big dimples, and she's like, I'm here, ready to control,
Yeah.
But that's not who I am anymore. And the next picture was of me, and you could see the little girl, but she was no longer at the front. She was in the background. And I said, that's the one. And so the process of selecting the pictures was very cathartic, and it was very emotional to have the 10 pictures in front of me that truly represented who I was at age 41. And I thanked Tina. I was like, because even going through the process with her, she was like, this is beautiful. I'm like, no. This is beautiful. No. She's like, why aren't you picking these ones? I'm like, they are aesthetically beautiful.
You have to look beyond.
It's not who I am right now. And so the 10 pictures, when you put them, like you line them up, it's Vanesa. It's the new Vanesa at age 41. And there are a few that I will post, so stay tuned. You can go to my Instagram, Vanesa Tomasino, posting one today for my birthday, 2, I think, on my stories. But there's one picture in particular that is only for me. It's this beautiful picture of my back and my butt. I mean, a tutu. It's like a thong and a tutu. And I'm on top of a chair. I've never seen that part of me because I don't see my back.
Of course,
we never
naturally.
We never see our backs,
Yeah.
right? And I am in this very graceful position. I look elegant and poised and yet strong. And it's not vulgar in any way. It's really strange. It's very artistic. But that picture is only for me because it's too much nakedness. And that's something I don't need to show that to the world.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I want, and it's not because I'm embarrassed of it. No, it's just because I do think that some things that we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that picture is for myself, And then the other ones are, stunning too, and I will show them. And it says Vanesa at 41, and I hope you guys like it. And I'm very excited to show them, and I'm very excited to keep challenging myself, taking, those very difficult situations and shining through them. And those are the lessons for this year. And I'm very happy, and I'm proud that my heart got broken a million times this year to become the person that I am. So thank you, everybody, for breaking my heart out there. If you're listening, you know who you are. No, but it's not, you're not to blame. It's a process, right? So
And
thank you.
like everyone, like even your actors, we break your
Oh my
all
God,
the
yes.
time.
My actors break my heart every time I send them an audition and I'm like, can you read the instructions? And they're like, yeah, for sure.
And we always fuck up.
Yes. And then
So
the instructions
sorry.
were not read, or the audition was missing something, like, where's this? Oh, we had to do that. It's in the instructions. Right, Monica?
So
So yes.
romantically, professionally, personally, like everyone breaks your heart all the
Yes.
time, and
Yeah.
you're still here.
I'm still here and
You
stronger.
are
Thank you.
stronger than yesterday,
Yes, I am.
and you're gonna be stronger tomorrow.
Yes.
And this is 41.
So thank you guys. Thanks for spending this amazing day with me, this transition with me, the changes from last year, my 40s, but also this particular moment of celebrating the living behind of the 40s, the celebration of the mistakes, the celebrations of the lessons, and transitioning to this amazing new 41 that I'm 100% sure will not disappoint.
It will not disappoint.
So thanks for joining us on episode 7 and on my birthday. I hope that you
Of course.
I hope that you can send us messages with anything that you want us to discuss for the next episode. We have so much to talk about,
Yes.
from extremely weird TV series that are out there that we can talk about, our movies that are streaming right now, to the famous relationships and situationships and imaginationships and everything else.
Everything else.
Pathologies.
Pathologies. Patterns.
Yes.
A lot of things to discuss. Body
Yes.
image.
Yes.
Anything and everything. So
we should talk about body image soon.
We should.
Oh, and we were supposed to talk about Instagram and Be Real as well. So
we should.
We
yes.
will do all that.
Maybe next episode.
Yes. So if you have a question about that or anything else, you can message us. You can message Maria.
So you can find me as MF Bruson, both Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. You can contact and follow Monica too. What are your handles for Instagram?
It's Monsbar. That would be MONS.
Why do you complicate things?
I'm sorry. I will make a new handle and I'll let you know.
Monsbar. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And you can message me on IG, Vanesa Tomasino, Vanesa with one S, Tomasino with one S. My account is currently private, but you can always send your request. And TikTok, that one's open.
Yes. And also you can leave a question on Spotify.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. So thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.